Hello, everybody. I'm Sam Wantalk. Don't worry. I know last episode was scary. You were frightened. Change happened. Change is scary. But don't worry. Daddy's home. But I'm always joined by my
Oh,
two co-hosts. Come on, it's not meant to be like that. Unless you want it to be. I'm joined by Ethan Decker and Tyler Noctigal. Fellas, how we doing?
It's good to have you
I'm
back,
good.
Sam.
Yeah, good to have you back. I just started a new job today. Went by pretty quickly. It was a nice little gig we got going on. But uh, once again, good weekend of football. Ready to talk ball.
Yeah, no, it was great to watch. Decker, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm good. Like I said, just glad to have you back. We needed our Emmy award-winning host back.
Uh, well, thank you. I think I missed the first time you said that, but I'm glad
Yeah,
that you.
not that I wasn't sufficient. So
No,
I mean,
yeah. Could you say it a third time?
Tyler held
No,
in. Tyler filled in admirably.
No, no, sorry, cause I did listen to that episode, and Tyler, you did do a fantastic job filling in. I thought you did well under
Well,
the unfamiliar circumstances.
what was your favorite part? What was your favorite part, man?
Ooh, let me think here. I mean, I liked the part. I'm obviously I enjoyed your rant about the Broncos primetime games because I feel exactly like the same way because I was very hashtag relatable on my end personally.
No.
But I mean I like that. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but there was a part where you took a little snooze fest. You did like a little fake snore, and I thought that was pretty funny. So. No, there were some good parts. There were some good parts. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
no Sam Wan talk, but
as
anyways.
we'll discuss, we'll see just how wrong our predictions were from that episode. So
Oh yeah, those were the first two that I have queued up actually.
Yeah.
Because to get into it, we have our Week 6 reactions. Looking back at this past weekend of football, and to start off, we have two games. So I'll do one at a time, but I just want to name them both to start. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing the Steelers, and the 49ers playing the Falcons. And now these are two teams that we had that we'd all locked for this week. We'd all locked the Tampa Bay Bucks beating the Steelers and the Niners beating the Falcons, and we all thought there is no way in heck that these teams win. And they both won. One was more convincing than the other, but the Steelers still won. They won 20-18. Decker, why don't you start us off with this one? What was? How do you think such a surprising thing occurred? What was the game changer in this game?
Well, the Steelers did a good job of pressuring Brady for the most part, and man, I was so shocked at this. I mean, I did not see this happening at all because I was for sure the Steelers would be going into their bye 1-7. But granted, the Steelers, they came in, pressured Brady pretty good, and while Pickett was in there, Pickett did some good things. But I think the big storyline from this is when Pickett went out with that concussion, Mitch Trubisky came in, and I think he went 8 for 12 with 144 and a touchdown, and really made some key throws to put that game away for them. So I'm sure Kenny Pickett will go back to the starting gig, but man, Trubisky played good, and Bucks offense just looks awful. I mean, like Brady said today, it's not a good game when you have more F-bombs than touchdowns. And Brady was visibly upset with his old lineman in this game, and their offense, that can't, like, for example, a Kansas City game, they look great, and for like 3 quarters last week against Atlanta, they looked great, but then the fourth quarter stalled out, and it really carried over to this game, and they just could not do enough to beat what I thought was a lifeless Steelers team. So I was very shocked.
Yeah, I was incredibly shocked too. I thought because even towards the end, it was close throughout the whole game, and the whole time, just till the end, I was saying to myself, the Bucks, they're going to win in the last minute, and that just never really seemed to happen, which was definitely surprising. I don't think it really helps either that it seems like Brady's really taking a step back from kind of being involved. I think it was Wednesday he took that day off, and then he was gone Friday for Kraft's wedding, which of course that's not going to be every week, but you can't expect great results if you're going to be that absent and you're the starting quarterback of your team. I mean, it's not right to chastise people like he's doing if you're not going to be putting the work in as well. Granted, he's Brady, but I think it's got to
I'd have
show.
to disagree with you there, Sam. I mean, he's like any guy, like in any profession. If you've been doing it for 20 plus years, like no matter the amount of time, like prep you have during the week, like you're good. He was ready for that game. Who wasn't was the offensive line, and they were really letting him down. I mean, like you've seen the videos of him yelling at his team or his offensive lineman, and it's like, Brady's angry. He's about to torch your defense, but no, his offensive line just kept playing horribly, and like that's what it really comes down to. Because I mean, Brady, he's so limited with his mobility that if he gets pressured, he needs to get the ball out quick, but no one's open like immediately after the ball is snapped. So he's got to go to his checkdowns, and it's easy to defend against checkdowns. So that's really why this Bucks offense struggled this week, and that's just credit to the defense or to the defensive front of the Steelers getting pressure so easily.
Yeah, it's definitely also a factor as well. I mean, I definitely think it is a little still slightly both, but I definitely see what you're saying about the O-line as well, because they did not play well at all.
And what do you expect to, and literally like their entire interior O-line has never played in meaningful games in like in a multiple week stretch like this. So
yeah, it's also a good that's a good point as well. It's just I mean, a really banged up unit doesn't help. So hopefully, they all are on season-ending injuries, right? I think, like the entire interior, or
Jensen,
well,
yes.
I mean,
pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Kappa just left. Kappa left over the offseason. Marpet retired, so.
Isn't Shaq Mason interior?
I guess Shaq Mason.
Or is he a tackle?
Shaq Mason.
No, he's right guard.
Or maybe he's.
Okay.
But I mean, even Tristan Wirfs hasn't really been like playing what he's used to lately. So when your all-pro young right tackle isn't playing up to snuff, with a bad offensive line, it's not a recipe for success.
No, I mean, as we've seen from a lot of teams this week, good O-line play is essential to win games, and so when you don't have it, it's incredibly tough to win, obviously. So, but that goes for almost every position in the league. So that's definitely something to look out for. And then to move on, we have the 49ers and the Falcons. This was a slightly more convincing win by the Falcons. That they won 28-14. Mariota finished with an incredibly impressive stat line, going 13 of 14 on passes with 179 total yards and 3 total touchdowns. I think the Falcons ran the ball like a combined 35 times. It just really ate the clock up and didn't give Niners a lot of time to really do stuff with the ball. Tyler, do you have any thoughts on this game you'd like to expand upon?
Yeah, I mean, we might see a game where the Falcons won by 2 touchdowns. Here, Marcus Mariota played a fantastic game. Props to him. Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he's just not the game manager that I remember. Like, he's just not stepping into that role that he was once able to fill. So it's very concerning to see him throw like even 2 picks against a pretty bad Falcons defense. But if I'm the 49ers, I'm not worried about this game. They had a lot of defensive starters hurt. I mean, half their secondary, Joey Bosa, or sorry, excuse me, Nick Bosa. It's like, you know, if they were not injured, like a fully healthy 49ers defense, and they lost this badly, then yeah, I'd be nervous. But I think a fully healthy 49ers defense is the best defense in the NFL. So it just kind of goes to show you how important those players are to the success of that team.
Yeah, there was an important stat that I grabbed. I think it was that 11 of 22 starters are currently injured for the 49ers. Of course, that is half if you're good at math.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know. Big brain over here. Which I don't know if that includes Trey Lance or not, which of course maybe
I would
Trey
assume
Lance
it does.
would be better.
I'd
It
assume
probably does.
Yeah, and of course, their offensive line has seen some players go down too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
just injury bug has hit them, and 3-3 is
seems-
definitely not where I saw them by week 6. I definitely thought they'd be a little bit more dominant than this, but man, that's just what injuries do to a team sometimes.
Yeah. Decker, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up there at the end about the injuries because you mentioned the entire team, but I saw the fact it was of the 11 starters on defense for the 49ers, only 2 of them have been healthy all year, and the other 9 have missed either a couple games or one at least. So I'm glad you brought that up. And then, I mean, like you said, Tyler, the 49ers at 3-3 we didn't see, and the Falcons being 3-3 right now and tied for first with Tampa in that division. We did not see through 6 weeks, but this game overall, 49ers, I mean, got completely shut down on the run. They had no run game whatsoever. And for the 49ers to have be successful in win those games, you got to have the mix in there. You got to be able to run and throw. And to have Jimmy G try to carry you through this entire game just on his arm was not a recipe for success. And the Falcons did a good job just shutting down Wilson. Tevin Coleman.
They didn't even try to run the ball, though. That's the thing. They only ran the ball 7 times with Wilson, and they were down for most of the game, so that explains why. But
Yeah, they kind of had to.
yeah, it just kind of goes to show you that they're not really capable of playing from like big deficits. Like we saw it like a couple weeks ago, I think, with was it the 49ers again? I forget what team just looked really bad trying to come from behind. It might have been the 49ers.
Yeah, well, didn't they play the Broncos?
Yeah,
I mean, they're
I
really
think-
behind in
yeah.
that game because it was like 11 to 10. But
Yeah.
That was a sign.
Yeah, I don't know. Deck, if you're a Niners fan, are you nervous about the team's future minus the injuries?
I think if you can get everybody, it's gonna be tough to get everybody fully healthy. I'm not too nervous, but if it continues like
neither am I.
if it continues like it is with because we saw with the Ravens last year, that injury bug didn't let up for them all year, and then they ended up missing the playoffs. So if it continues like this for the 49ers, I think I'd be starting to get worried. But I mean, if you can get Bosa back and everybody's slowly coming back, like Trent Williams will end up coming back, and if those guys can stay healthy, I still think they. Can sneak in
I
as a
definitely do
wild card
think
or
a
something.
healthy 49ers team is probably a top 5 team in the league.
yeah, but that is kind of part of the issue of the whole thing is that they're almost never healthy. Is the problem? It seems like they
Yeah.
always have this injury problem. So I think it's always going to kind of hold them back. Maybe they'll be healthy come like playoffs and they'll be playing like on the road most of the time, and
Right.
then they can make a deep run like they usually do.
Yeah, I could see
But
it.
yeah, so I would say that it's only worrisome because it happens a lot. But
Right.
I think outside of that, I would be worried, especially if they're healthy. And now to move on, we have the New England Patriots versus the Cleveland Browns. This was a game that I think we had all thought would be one on the ground, just 2 juggernauts going up against each other, pounding the rock, and then I was just kind of one team did well and the other didn't. It was a 38-15 win for New England. Mr. Belichick starting to come back to form. 2 great defensive schemes drawn up. And, Decker, what is your prognosis from this game?
Yeah, I mean, like Tyler locked them for a reason. We and like we talked about in the last episode, we all predicted the Patriots. We predicted that Belichick would outcoach Stefanski, and that the run game would end up winning this game for the Patriots. And Ramondre Stevenson, outside of the 30 what was that the 37-yard run he took to the house.
Yep.
I think he only had like 40, I don't know, 40,
Yeah,
40
something around there.
rushing yards
Yeah.
after that, but 2 touchdowns for him. And Bailey Zappi, who
Hell
did
of a
enough-
game.
did enough to win this game.
Yeah.
He was good.
He did all of it, in my opinion.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
like these. Sorry to cut you off, but like Bailey Zappi coming in as a third stringer, just lighting up the Browns the way he did. The
Hey.
Browns defense, skill wise, like they have maybe like one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Like they have so many gaping holes on that defense. Outside, of course, the even Jadavian can be a little bit,
Yeah.
but outside of like Myles Garrett and Ward, who they paid up the butt for, the secondary is supposed to be what's carrying them, and it's really not. It's kind of what's failing them. So, and Bailey Zappi was able to dot them up. So, this Browns defense is like atrocious right now, very clearly. So, sorry to cut you off like that.
Yeah, but no, Bailey Zappi threw for 309 with 2 touchdowns. Spread the ball to everyone. I mean, Jacoby Myers,
Yep.
Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry got a big touchdown. But I think the biggest thing, too, on defense was they did another great job defensive-wise. And the biggest key was shutting down Nick Chubb, who only went for 12 for 56 on the ground. So you
Yep.
eliminate Nick Chubb, you eliminate pretty much everything else. And
I mean-
sure, Amari Cooper had a good game, but still.
Yeah, it's another team that just isn't capable of playing from behind.
No.
It's they put in so much for this run game that like Nick Chubb isn't a good catcher of the ball. So you eliminated Nick Chubb from that game, who's debatedly the best offensive player they have. And it comes to Jacoby Brissett trying to be a game manager, and he targeted Amari Cooper 12 times, but only completed 4. Like, yards, like, let's see, yards per target, like 3.7. That's horrible.
Ooh, yeah.
That's really bad. So,
No.
I mean, as much as I don't want to see it, obviously, the only way that this Browns team is going to look good is with Deshaun Watson. If he plays like he did before. But yeah, I think we'll talk about this too a little bit later, but like this like whole backup, like, oh, you should start your backups more than, or like over your starters or your hurt starter if they're winning. Like, Bailey Zappi had a good game, yes. Is Mac Jones going to start the next game? Yes. Should he start the next game? Yes. Is Mac Jones the better football player? Yes. Like Bailey Zappi was a third stringer for a reason. Like this, So I don't want people to think like, oh, you put up 309 yards, he's so good. Sit Mac Jones. Like, you just don't do that. Sorry.
Yeah, there is a perfect example of this from just last season, where it was, I'm pretty sure, the legend himself, Mike White, put up 405 yards. And guess what? We haven't heard shit about Mike White since.
Yeah.
And that just shows that it can happen, but it doesn't really mean much unless, because the coaches are going to see what they see. We see them because coaches see them more than you see the QBs. So they know what
Correct.
they're doing.
Yep.
And now to move on, we have what many would have probably thought would be a very boring game, was actually quite exciting. Was the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game finished at a 34-27 with a Colts win off a deep bomb to Alec Pierce, who was sitting comfortably on my bench. And anyways, this was quite an interesting game because I didn't see anything about this until I was reading a bit more. But the Colts had changed their offensive lineup on the line, and they moved Dennis Kelly to tackle and then Matt Pryor to guard, and they didn't allow a single sack that game. which I
Okay.
thought was kind of surprising, especially for a team that's allowed so many sacks this year. Would we say that the Colts might be back on track, or do we think that this is just Jacksonville going down a deep, deep decline?
Um, honestly, don't know. Like, I think I would have to see this Colts team play, or this Colts offensive line play, I guess, a similar game. Uh, because, like, man, it feels like the the Jaguars just kind of were like a little bit of an imposter at the beginning of the year and are starting to show their true colors now. I mean, unfortunately, I kind of hoped that they were the real deal this year, playoff team, but you can't like I don't man, I just don't know.
It's tough. I know.
That Colts offensive line is just so bad. No matter where you move those guys, like Quentin Nelson is like should no longer be anywhere near the conversation for best guard in the league. He's been he's been good, just not to the caliber he's been playing the past couple years. So I don't know. Both these offenses confuse me. Both these defenses confuse me. One week they're good, one week they're bad. Both of them seed mediocre this week, but I will say both quarterbacks put up pretty good numbers. I was a little surprised though. Trevor Lawrence, 20 for 22, 165 yards. Like you'd think he'd put on a few more yards than that with 20 completions. So it kind of just goes to show you. I think Trevor Lawrence might be a little afraid to push the ball down the field. But, I mean, he's got such fantastic playmakers in those two running backs where I would feel confident dropping or dumping it off to them. So,
Yeah, I do think that ETN finished with a fair amount of catches. So that might
Yeah.
be where the issue came in. With
yeah,
Lawrence.
and you know, if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm looking to get both of those running backs engaged in this offense because they're playmakers. So, so be it with the dump offs. But 4 sacks, you can't take 4 sacks. Trevor, you just gotta get rid of the ball, and yeah, Matt Ryan actually had a pretty decent game. Threw the ball almost 60 times, surprisingly. So
Yeah, I'm sure Matt Ryan felt it the next morning, but
yeah,
it's looking like now if you give Matt Ryan time, he might be back on track. But that's just something that might not be there consistently. Decker, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I agree. It's. I was on the Jags bandwagon through 3 weeks. I was really loving what they were doing on both sides of the ball, and now the defense is really falling off. Offense kind of had a little bounce back game here, but defense couldn't do enough. And for the Colts, it's again like the Denver game, obviously the Thursday night game. Offense looked like shit. No JT, no Hines went out in that game. Deion Jackson looked good, and then Deion Jackson carried it over to this week too. But little offense in that game, and then this game they put up big offensive numbers, but their defense struggles again. So I'd like to see the Colts put it together on both sides before I can say I'm fully back with them. It's nice that they've won 2 in a row now, and it's starting to look like what we predicted before the year, where they could be the division winners. But I don't know. I want to see more consistency on both sides of the ball before I fully say I'm back on with the Colts. So.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most inconsistent divisions so far. Just no one looks like a clear winner.
I think whoever comes out the winner in that division will safe to say will be bounced quickly once they get in. So
yeah, first round exit. It's going to be like the NFC East the past couple of years
Yeah.
for sure. And now moving on, we have I think a game that terrified me, to be honest. Vikings versus the Dolphins. I remember because I'd locked the Vikings to win, and I'd said if the Vikings lose to a third string QB, I will be incredibly upset. And luckily, if we did lose, it would have been a second string QB, so I could hang my hat on that. So I'm going to start because this is the only game that I actually really watched due to my family obligations this past weekend. I mean, the Vikings offense, I don't know why, but, like, how are there still so many 3-and-outs?
I know why.
Why?
Vikings can't play against man defense. Like, literally nobody else besides Justin Jefferson can get open. Like, I'm sorry. Yes, Thielen has had good years. He's not a separator anymore. He can't separate against man. KJ Osborne also can't separate against man. And most of the times, Justin Jefferson has clamps on him. Or, not clamps. He's in double coverage. So, and not to mention Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball. So, and the Dolphins defense, like through the first couple weeks, had their defensive line had the best. I don't know what the stats called, but they had the most like yards covered, like going in the opposite direction of the line of scrimmage. So they were pushing the offensive line backwards, pretty much, and that pretty much shut down the run game, except for that big run at the end for Delvin. And yeah, it's Dolphins run a lot of man, and they have a good front seven that can stop the run, and that's why the Vikings offense really seemed to struggle, because, like I just said, a good penetrating defensive line against, in my opinion, a fairly mediocre, less than mediocre Vikings offensive line, and then just bum wide receivers outside of Jefferson that can't get open against man.
There was a part of me that's crying that you called Thielen a bum, but
Like, dude knows how to sit in a zone. Good for him, but he can't separate worth the shit anymore.
Yeah, no, he is 33, so it was definitely expected to happen pretty soon. And then like another thing that I did notice is that, I definitely think that Tua is a good quarterback, but just watching like Thompson make these throws to his wide open receivers, cause like Tua's got it pretty easy. Let's be honest. Nothing wrong with having it easy, but there were just so many like wide open receivers in this zone, which I feel like it was just because we were trying to stop the big play. And sure, because once it got down to like the red zone, they couldn't really get past it because there was much room to work with. But so yeah, it was kind of tough to watch all those yards being gained, but they managed to clamp down when it mattered, and the Vikings still managed to win. I did appreciate that a lot.
Well, come on, man. You're going up against Teddy. Like, Teddy, he's a decent backup. Like, yes, the wide receivers are good. Like, very, very good. They got a lot of cushion. Yes, Teddy was able to, hit them where he needed to, but I think that the Dolphins, like, if I'm a Dolphins fan sitting at 3-3, right, and Tua comes back, this Thursday?
Yeah, he's supposed to come back, yeah.
They could go on a run here, man. I think, like, while Tua obviously isn't the best quarterback in the league, he doesn't throw 2 picks against the Vikings, in my opinion. He's good enough to the point where he can get the ball to the wide receivers and not turn the ball over, I think. Where I think that the Dolphins could really go on a run here. So, and, their defense showed that it can play against good offenses, right? It had a little bit of a bad week last week, obviously, against the Jets. But, if I'm facing the Dolphins in the next, couple weeks and rest of the season, actually, I'd be very nervous.
No, I agree 100% because sure, like, Tua to most standards might not be the best. He's definitely better than both Teddy and Skylar Thompson for sure. So yeah, that upgrade will definitely help a lot. Decker, anything to add?
I'll start with the Vikings. Just to sum it up, do I care that we went nine times with 3 and outs? No. Do I care that we gave up 498 yards of offense? No. Winning is winning, and winning is ugly sometimes. 5-1 is 5-1. I'll take it. Defense, 26 pressures in this game. 10 pressures alone for Za'Darius. I don't know. All I care is we won. You know, sure it wasn't pretty at times, but that's where the good teams separate from others, and it's not going to be great games every time. So, but Dolphins, yeah, Tua comes back and can play like he was at the beginning of the year. Yeah, they're going to be dangerous, but health is health, and I don't know. I'm still worried about that guy going on the football field. So we'll see. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're 5-1 against like the worst Packers team in recent history. You're 5-1 against a Lions team that can't defend for shit. You're 5-1 against a Andy Dalton led Saints team. You're 5-1 against the Bears. You're 5-1 against a Tua-less Dolphins. Like, I'm sorry, Decker. I would be nervous as a Vikings fan. Yes, 5-1 is 5-1. They're not capable of winning the important games quite yet, I'm afraid. And, week 2 might have shown the true colors for the Vikings. And, all I'm saying is, Vikings fans, don't get your hopes up. Because when you face a real team, come playoffs, it's going to get ugly.
I don't think we've ever said once that we're going to make a deep playoff run. Why are you putting words in our mouth?
I don't think you will make a deep playoff run. I never said you said that, but I'm saying if just don't get your hope, like Deck saying 5-1 is 5-1. Yeah, you're right. Against 5 pretty bad, mediocre at best teams. And the one loss came against arguably the best team in the leagues, but still, it wasn't a very competitive game. So I would be nervous if I was a Vikings fan. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, from my perspective, it's definitely concerning that most of these games are incredibly close, no matter who we play. But I think an important thing to really keep in mind is that last year, all of these one-possession games are usually ones that we would lose, and now all these one-possession games are games that we are winning. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, that adds up to nothing in the playoffs, though. Like, y'all constantly clown me about how the Packers lose in the NFC Championship. Like, it doesn't matter unless you make the Super Bowl. Like, oh yeah, they're winning the close game. Okay, they still look like shit. It's this reminds me of like the what year was I forget. The Packers looked like the worst 13-3 team like ever to exist. Yet and then we lost in second round of the playoffs, of course. So we're going off. I am going off on a tangent here.
You are.
But Kirk Cousins is so inefficient with the ball. He's more inefficient than he was more inefficient with the ball than Justin Fields was that game. Like, you would think in a Sean McVay offense that he would be able to be at least efficient with the ball. He's not, right? And he's got good skill positions. They can't get the run going. Their defense is soft as shit. So, maybe this is me as a Packer fan realizing that our dynasty is over, which we'll talk about in a second. But yes, you'll win the North. Beyond that, good luck. The rest doesn't matter, from what I've been told by you Vikings fans for the past 5 years now. Unless you make the big game, it doesn't matter. So have fun with your 5-1 start.
Yeah, I was gonna say you chose a bad episode to talk shit when you lost to a team run by a man that only completed 10 passes.
Lost to a team with a winning record, bitch.
Well, a team led by Zach Milfson, who only attempted to throw the ball 18 times.
Yes,
little over 50% of his passes.
He didn't. Are we going to talk about this game now? Can I talk about this game?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Packers dynasty over. It's gone. Okay. Rodgers retiring at the end of the season. Offensive line bums. Royce Newman. Just get on your hands and knees. Just dive at some knees, man. dive at the opposing player's knees. That's all you got to do, right? But he was getting his ass ate by Quinnen Williams all fucking game. And the inability, like, Matt LaFleur has really, really set some doubts in my mind that he can coach an effective offense. And the play calling has become stale. We're not getting the balls to the guys we said we would get the ball to, who are our playmakers, and that's Jones and Dillon, right? Those guys need to be touching the ball a lot more, especially Jones. Especially Jones, right? Our front office is a absolute... He's an idiot, okay? Okay, I'm just going to settle down a little bit. The Jets, I will say, before you clown on us for losing to the Jets are a good team, okay? Jets are a good team. I will give them that. We did not lose to a bad Jets team. I think that it's because it's the Jets and it's the name Jets is why people see this as like a much bigger loss than it was. It was basically two players that won this game for the Jets. It was Sauce Gardner and it was Quinnen Williams. Actually, I'll give it to the whole defensive line. And I'll also say Packers not having a wide receiver. So it's just Packers have such a good defense. Such a good defense. But when you can't keep them off the field, then they're going to play bad like any defense would.
Yeah, that's fair.
So unless Gutekunst can find a wide receiver that isn't equivalent to a wide receiver 3, which is what our wide receiver room is full of, then we're not going to be able to move the ball. We're the same as the Vikings. Jets put us in clamps because they went into man coverage. No one can separate. Like, it's just, you can't win games when you can't, obviously you can't win games when you can't throw the ball. And so, Rodgers is starting to look like a bum, of course, and it's like, partially, he's, he admitted it himself. He's got to play better. And he has to. This is like the first year I've seen him miss throws that I never imagined him missing. So, genuinely nervous on that front. But I still think that this Packers defense can really play at a high elite level. They just got to spend less time on the field. And that's just straight up. Yes, we're still having trouble defending the run game. But if we got teams into more neutral game scripts, they wouldn't be running the ball as much. So it's just infuriating, man. Like, obviously, props to the Jets. Zach Milson, still a horrible QB. Like, he threw a pass past 10 yards, and it was an absolute duck. And the wide receiver had to make a complete stop and come back on the ball and work through the cornerback. So, don't think that this was a good game by Zach Wilson, at all. So,
no.
But, props to Salah's defense because they played phenomenal, right? So, yeah, can we just not talk about this game anymore?
The baby Jets.
I was just gonna say that the one question prompt I wrote down was, do we start to worry about the Packers? And I think that you did an apt job describing.
Even though I said all that, and I might obviously I'm worried, but I'm not to the point where I guess I'm not to the point where I sound I am. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 5. It's not immediately I still think, like I said, this defense is good enough that it can win us some games this year. So and it has already. So I'm at a 5 out of 10.
Okay. Well, to move on, we have the Giants versus the Ravens. perhaps if there is a franchise that might start worrying, that is the Ravens. I mean, I don't know when they got into cahoots with the Falcons and learned the master art of choking, but this team has been really not doing a good job in the third and fourth quarter. This one was almost entirely on Lamar, some would say.
Yeah.
I think it was the last two drives. He had a fumble and a pick, and that last throw was a terrible decision, probably the worst he's made in a long time, if not ever. So I guess I'll prompt you guys. So are we worried about the Ravens / Lamar / Lamar's future in Baltimore? People, it's definitely a slight overreaction. We talk about this right now, but people are saying, oh, Lamar's going to leave Baltimore, stuff like that. Do we see, is there concerns?
I'll talk about this first real quick, Dak. I think Lamar stays in Baltimore. I think this game clearly knocks him out of any MVP talks, so far right now. Pretty much two. Like, Josh Allen and Mahomes have pretty much run away with it so far. And, Lamar, if it wasn't for the lack of weapons, then I would say yes. Like, Lamar is the problem here. But, Devin Duvernay was his best wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And he's still returning kicks. Like, when you're a good wide receiver, you don't return kicks anymore, okay? That's just how it is. They find someone else to do it. So, I mean, Mark Andrews is, phenomenal tight end, top 3 tight end in the league, but it's one guy up the middle pretty much every single time. You got to have some outside threats, and the props to the Giants again. This, they might be the real deal. Dable might be just the QB whisperer, but Lamar just with some silly mistakes at the end. So, I would, if it wasn't for the lack of weapons, I would put this all on Lamar.
Yeah, I think I would say the exact same thing, but don't worry. Don't worry. The Ravens signed Deshaun Jackson. All our worries are gone.
Yeah.
That 35-year-old is going to get one 75-yard touchdown and be gone.
I mean, I'd be surprised if Deshaun Jackson is faster than any wide receiver on the Ravens right now. Like, he's not faster than Duvernay, and Duvernay's already playing like he's playing all the reps, and he's probably not faster than what's his name? Well, really
Bateman?
one of their other outside guys, but Bateman too. Yeah, so I just don't see the value in this pickup, to be honest with you.
No.
That kind of confused me too, to be honest. Deck, anything to add to this discussion?
Yeah, Dable, coach of your favor right now. I think that has
easily.
Ravens, I'm worried about. Bateman is having injury problems the last couple of weeks. Ronnie Stanley's had injury problems all year. Can't seem to stay healthy. And I don't care that Kenyon Drake had a good game. He has at least one every year and then just falls down to earth and is non-existent again. And outside of him at running back, J.K. Dobbins is struggling to stay healthy.
What is happening? What is happening with him?
I think there was an injury concern.
I think this was a different injury this time. I think this was like a hamstring this time for Dobbins. And then when Gus Edwards comes back, I mean, how is he going to be? So, and like we touched on, Ravens have no, outside of Andrews, Lamar has no reliable target, and he's just, these past couple weeks has just been off compared to what he was those first 3 weeks. And for the Giants, Saquon is still doing Saquon things. He's staying healthy at least, which is good to see. Mm-hmm. And he's finding the end zone every week reliably. And that defense, Kayvon Thibodeau with a nice play on Lamar to have that strip sack, which I like seeing. That Giants defense overall, it's the mood, especially with Dable in there, is just so much different. It's actually kind of nice to see the Giants just play loose and just camaraderie seems so good right now. And Dable's doing great things.
I do want to say, if linemen got the same kind of praise that other positions do, Andrew Thomas might be an MVP candidate. Like, when everyone else on that offensive line is a complete bum, yet they're still able to run the ball, whether that's, with because of Saquon, and, they're still, like, able to make give enough time to Daniel Jones for him to, look decent. I think that all comes down to the anchor in Andrew Thomas.
Yeah.
So I think, like, big praise to him. Like, highest rated tackle. He might be the highest rated player in the league right now. I'm not too sure about that. But
I don't know about highest player, but sorry.
Yeah, he's played a phenomenal year so far. He's had a phenomenal year.
And is Daniel Bellinger something? Maybe. Danny Dimes is loving some Bellinger right now, the rookie, but actually both rookies.
I will say, like, as shifty as I thought Tooney was, or Tony, I will say Tooney. Wandale.
Robinson.
Oh, what's his Robinson? He
good.
looks pretty good. Yeah, he looks pretty good too. Very
Is he
shifty.
the leading receiver right now? I think.
No, I think that's Richie still, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Richie.
Because
I saw a stat where it was like their leading receiver has 184 yards or something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was that was kind of interesting.
They have not had their luck at wide receiver, but whatever.
No. Yeah.
See, that's the thing, Like, Daniel Jones is able to put together a good game with, Uber Eats drivers at wide receiver. Yet Aaron Rodgers is struggling with, like, I would say, like, a pretty similar in skill wide receiver crew. And I think it comes down to the offensive scheme. That's why I'm genuinely nervous about LaFleur. Like, just, props to Dable. I think he's got this giant ship just absolutely moving right now. So, sorry, I did not mean to bring it back to the Packers, but it's just, like, it's a point that needs to be made. Like, Daniel Jones is looking better than Aaron Rodgers. And, partly it's the wide receivers, but it feels like it's a lot of the scheme, too. So,
yeah. No, I definitely think a part of it might have been that LaFleur was too comfortable having Devontae Adams, who, it's like, oh, just throw it to him. He's probably open, so something like that. So it's definitely an adjusting period. But then to move on, we have Seattle versus Arizona. Sorry, Matthew, but this game wasn't a tie. It was 19-9, with the Seahawks winning. I think a game that a lot of people would have thought would have been won off the arm of Geno was actually won through a very good defensive game by Seattle. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he had his, like, fourth pick in 4 games.
Tariq Woolen, was it?
Yeah, Woolen. Yeah,
Tariq Woolen.
Yeah, no, that whole Seattle defense played really well.
Woolen didn't have a pick, did he?
I thought he did.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. Okay. You're right, he did.
Yeah. Yeah, Deck, do you want to expand on this game a little bit?
Sure, I can talk about it a little bit. I didn't watch a lot of this game, but turned out to be more of a defensive game than I would have thought for sure. I predicted pretty high scoring. I thought it was going to be kind of a little shootout between Kyler and Geno, but yeah, props to Seattle. Kenneth Walker in his first official NFL start looked pretty good. Found the end zone, and yeah, Seattle's defense with the 12th man behind him, really, Benjamin. I don't know what he finished with Sam, but official yardage wise, but wasn't as effective as
37 yards.
Off
of 15 carries. So
not great at all yards per carry, and Kyler was I can't remember what his numbers were either, but equally didn't have a single passing touchdown, and outside of Hollywood Brown, I think with who actually went down with the season or actually he might return at the end of the year, but I guess Rondell Moore kind of had a good game too, but. Yeah, no, pretty lackluster for the Cardinals offense, which, I mean, getting D-Hop back, right? Sure, losing Hollywood's big, but at least losing him and now getting D-Hop back this week will hopefully get a little spark in them. But, again, I'm still pretty much out on the Cardinals. But, man, again, Seattle 3-3, tied with Frisco for first in the NFC West, which through 6 weeks, if we would have thought that, I don't think anybody would have predicted that. So I mean, good for Seattle. Good for good for the story continuing with Geno and that team.
Yeah, they've certainly overperformed their expectations so far. And this is something I was going to actually touch on during the Panthers section, but I guess I'll bring it up now since you brought up the Brown injury. It seems like they've traded for Robbie Anderson to kind of fill the role of Brown. I mean, we'll see if he can do that, or if he's just going to get kicked off another sideline by like week 13 or something. Who knows?
Guy's a head case. Yeah, he's a head case. I would definitely not want my team to trade for him. Let's just say that. So
he doesn't seem very smart, to put it bluntly. Tyler, anything to add about the Seahawks and Cardinals?
Yeah, to put it bluntly, Steve Keim is the worst GM in football. He is horrible. Like, this team is going to be so far below cap next year, or negative cap. Like, they already have to pay Hollywood. I believe. What's his name? Robbie Anderson's. He's getting paid $20 million a year.
What?
Yeah, $20 million. That's because he played at Temple when Rule was there, and Rule just wanted to play with his buddies. So Robbie Anderson is another huge contract to take on. And that was like the big reason why I thought that Robbie Anderson was just going to get cut. But there's only one GM dumb enough to trade for him, and that's Steve Keim. I don't know. I think he might think that he's like going to be a cap wizard, but there is no recovering from like the cap hits that he's about to take this offseason. The Cardinals have a horrible and depleted offensive line, right? Their defense is in shambles, and it's poor player and monetary management from Steve Keim that's really going to send them down the stinker. And when they traded when Deshaun Jackson got picked up, it honestly made me think, did the Ravens like expect to be able to like pick up Robbie Anderson? Like, I wonder if any NFL teams like honestly expected to trade for him with the cap hit that he has, or the salary that he has. Like, I think like most teams were waiting on that, and I think like obviously Deshaun Jackson was plan B when Robbie Anderson got traded for. So I'm just in utter awe that somebody traded for him. But of course it's Steve Keim, who's just horrible GM.
Yeah, both the head coach and GM in Arizona are absolutely terrible, and they're on the first year of their 7-year extension. So
I know
it's going to be Cardinals fans.
I'd give them like 3 or 4 more years at most. And one thing, Kenneth Walker looks like an absolute stud. Like, he looked really, really good. Like, athletically, he looks like a beast. Just his jump cuts, his change of direction, just everything was just chef's kiss this weekend. He looked like the real deal. Really, really good.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely the biggest player to watch.
Yeah.
I'm on that offense at least. But they got a lot of young players who have looked very, very promising so far. And now to move on, we have the Rams versus the Panthers.
Wait. Real quick. Sorry. Real quick. I want to ask Decker. Deck, do you really think that it's going to be Steve Carroll's last year with all this young talent?
I think we Pete Carroll.
Or Pete Carroll. I said
Steve Carell. Or
Steve Carell. Yeah, my dude. It's late. It's late, and it's a good, and it's late, and it's a good question. Okay.
No, it is. It is.
Do you honestly think that this is Pete Carroll's last year? Because honestly, I don't think so. Like,
man, it's definitely a thinker, because I think being around this young team, I think is starting to make Pete feel a little bit younger, maybe. And
I don't think it was going to be his last season, just to begin with. To be honest with you.
While
But
I don't know. Pete's making it work with this team. As fun as it would be to kind of think about like a rejuvenant, like a nice young type coach with his team. Pete's just got that young man's spirit that I think is just gelling perfect right now with this team. And
well, I mean, he's a top 10 coach in the league.
yeah,
Like, so it's hard, and whoever they replace him with just won't be Pete Carroll. So
he's doing great, man. I mean, I'm happy he's doing this without like proving he can do it without like.
so what do you
Russ.
think? Yes or no? Yes or no? What do you think?
I think he's got another year in him at least. I think he can do one more. I think he could.
Yeah, I do think if this team had finished like the 2-15 I had predicted,
They were
I think it would
overexceeded
have
you on
been
talk.
Pete Carroll's. They. I think I was definitely slightly extreme. I just thought that Gino was a bum and that their defense was full of
Hey, we all did.
was
We
just
all did.
was just a bunch of bums.
Bunch of
We
balls.
all did.
So that's why I had thought that. So I definitely think that if the team does well, Pete Carroll's going to get younger. It's like the fountain of youth.
Yeah,
for,
it really, yeah.
for Pete Carroll. So now to move on officially, we have the Rams and the Panthers. This was a game that, I mean, Decker had touched on it. He said that most of the time after a coach firing, teams play a lot better, a lot looser. No. Rams won 24-10. I didn't really watch this game at all. So I'm going to let Tyler talk about it. Tyler, what did you think of this game?
We're already like close to an hour, and I take all of the blame for that, for my multiple rants. But I'll keep it short and sweet. Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet for this one. As bad as the Rams are, the Panthers are just worse. They're the worst team in football. This offense is just absolutely horrendous, no matter who the quarterback is. Probably the worst offensive game like anyone will play this year and has played the past couple of years for the Panthers. So
Yeah.
that's about it. Nothing special from the Rams.
Decker?
Yeah, like I had mentioned in that previous episode, how teams really keep it close and might even pull it out of the first game after their coach gets fired. It was 10-10 at one point in that game where I thought, hey, maybe the Panthers could actually squeak this one out.
Hey, it was 0-0 at one point. Pretty close game. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it was 0. 0-0.
Oh.
But
Wow.
yeah, Rams are not good. Good teams would blow out this Panthers team, and the Rams had it close for longer than they should have until the end. So, Rams, I am officially hitting the panic button on.
We hit it a couple weeks ago.
Even more than we were. It's completely like jumping ship.
Yeah, it's a palm press on the button rather than a thumb push.
Yes.
Is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay, that's fair. Moving on, we have Buffalo versus the Chiefs. Was the game of the week. It was still a good game. I didn't really get a chance to watch it, unfortunately. But, so I'll keep my comments brief. Tony Romo knows ball. Man predicted the score perfectly. He's an absolute genius. Like, I think we have to accept it at this point. Tony knows what he's talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
But would someone like to expound upon this game?
I mean, hey, Tony Romo might not be a Hall of Fame player, but he will be a Hall of Fame commentator come his time when he's done. But Buffalo, good job of them to pull it out. I mean, like going back to Tony Romo, like he touched on them getting Von Miller, who he labeled as the closer because of he can just kill drives at the end of games and really put teams to sleep, and that's exactly what he did. I think it was that second to last drive before Patty threw or one of those last drives before the last drive when Patty threw that dumb pick when he didn't read Dane Jackson there, or Taron Jackson, whatever. Von Miller just went through two defenders on a double team, cut right through them, and got to Patty to kill that drive. So them getting Von Miller was definitely huge for that defense, and it really showed in a critical game, which we will most undoubtedly see again in the playoffs, I'd imagine. And
Yeah.
and Josh Allen just showed. I mean, he's better than Patty Mahomes right now, in my opinion. Just the stuff he did to get a touchdown that last drive, that hurdle, which was a great play, and then to find Knox in the back of the end zone there to seal it. That was impressive. And all those receivers. Gabe Davis had a great game. Diggs had a great game, and Dawson Knox to get that touchdown late. That run game, I'm still a little on edge about. I'd like to go see them get CMC if they really want to go truly all in. But otherwise, other than that, Bills it's looking good for them.
Yep. It's just the Bills being the Bills.
I mean, this solidifies Josh Allen as the clear MVP favorite going forward.
I agree. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Moving on, we have the Eagles versus the Cowboys. This was a game that I think a lot of us thought, okay, this is where the Eagles finally go down. Cowboys, great defense. It's a divisional matchup, but not yet. The Eagles win 26-17, take them to 6-0, and Cooper Rush finally loses. I think an important stat I want to highlight first was that this game at half was 20-0. So the Cowboys put up sort of a comeback in a way. Wasn't finished, but it certainly was closer at the end than most people might think when looking at the score. Tyler, anything to expand on with this game?
Yeah. If you think or thought that Cooper Rush should be started over Dak Prescott when Dak was healthy, you're an absolute idiot and casual. Sorry. You know who you are. You know who you are. Cooper Rush is going to look good against bad teams. He plays on the Cowboys with phenomenal, a good O-line, really good skill positions, and a phenomenal defense. So, 3 picks, and not only were they picks, they were horrendous picks. They were balls thrown behind wide receivers. They were balls thrown above wide receivers' heads. It just horrible picks, passes to begin with. And it's just absolutely, when people say, "Oh, they're just gonna play Dak because of the paycheck." Yeah, why do you think they're fucking paying him, bro? He wins games. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. It really bothered me. But also, Jalen Hurts did not have a good game either. Actually, he did throw for 2 touchdowns. His long was only 22 though, so took 4 sacks, but still not completely sold on him. But the Eagles found a way. 3 picks will definitely help.
Yeah, that's for sure. It definitely does help. Just a quick anecdotal story I heard back when I was in Arizona on this past weekend. There's a public bathroom full of Cowboys fans, and the Cowboys fans were talking about the game. It just ended, the Cowboys fans ask, "Hey, what was the score of that game that just happened between the Eagles?" And then some guy said, "Oh, it was 26-17. The Cowboys lost." And then there was a fan that said, "Oh, well, if Dak Prescott played, they would have won." And yes, it would have been probably closer and might have actually happened, but I think we're forgetting how they looked with Dak week 1. Don't throw the word definitely around, but that's just Cowboys fans for you. That's what I'll have to say about that. Decker, anything brief?
I mean, I will say I do think if Dak was playing in this game, I think they do pull this one out.
I agree.
Because those Cooper Rush picks gave the Eagles such great field position to be able to actually get down there and put points on the board. And Dak doesn't make those mistakes. So, and without those picks to give the Eagles great field position, they looked meh. I wasn't too impressed with the offense. So, defense, looks good for good reasons because they spent a lot and used it in the draft and through trades and free agency to improve this defense. But I do think if Dak did play in this game, I think Cowboys would have pulled it out.
I get you. Yeah, I think what rubbed me the wrong way was the way he used the word definitely. I would never say definite, but definitely greater improved chances.
Yeah.
And now for the last game, we have the Chargers and the Broncos. Thank God the nightmare is over. The primetime games are done, but we
Until
live in a
week
false blanket of security that they'll be back week 14. Do not rest easy. However, it's done for a little while. 19-16. I mean, so I listened to this on the radio driving back from the airport. I think it was more fun because I got to hear Kevin Harlan doing the call on the radio, because this is a good job of doing that. Deck, do you have anything from this game that stood out to you?
I'm not impressed with either team. I mean, Broncos we've been completely out on. Chargers 4-2, but I'm Brandon Staley will cost this team with his decision making. We'll give him some losses as the year goes on, and I mean, their run defense still isn't good. I mean, I think Melvin got benched in this game. I think I heard it was, and then he liked the tweet about him getting traded. But when Latavius Murray was in there, he was running it good. And when you get better offenses than Denver's, the Chargers will really keep getting exposed. So I'm still out on the Chargers, out on both teams. Not many thoughts in this game. I just not impressed with their team.
Yeah, I get that. Tyler, anything else?
No, both the quarterbacks obviously did not play well, and I expect more from Justin Herbert, man.
Yeah.
Like
57
he's
times.
just
Me too.
No
He's
touchdown.
supposed-
Me too.
he's supposed to be like, just a top shelf elite quarterback, and just hasn't really played like it this year. So hopefully when Keenan Allen comes back, he starts playing a little bit more into that. But man, we'll have to see.
I don't know. Is it the rib injury still factoring in, you think?
No, he threw the ball 57 times. No, there's no way. There's no way.
I don't think. I mean, you could make the very loose argument like, oh, it hasn't been well rested. He's been playing all these weeks. I don't think so, though. I feel like, I think, okay, to be fair, I did listen to the game. I didn't watch it. I feel like it would have been more apparent.
Yeah,
if
I agree.
He was still, yeah.
I agree with him.
I'm very curious to know what's going on, though, with him.
Yeah. Yeah, and so with that being said, that was our Week 6
No,
game.
it wasn't. We didn't talk about the Bengals and Saints, but
Did we not?
no, but that's okay. 'Cause I don't think I've seen a single clip of this game, to be honest with you. All I know is that Joe Burrow had a really good game.
Jamar Chase had a huge game.
Marchese, yeah. So
Honey Badger's bad.
Oh yeah, Honey Badger bad. Can't tackle. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
I don't know how I missed this game. It's not even written down on my outline. But okay. Well, okay, there we go. Now that is our Week 6
There you go.
reactions. Yeah. I hope you have enjoyed listening. God, it's great to be back with you all. And I hope that you all have a good night, everyone.